Dee Dee Blanchard was 24 years old. She gave life to me. When I was nearly 24 years old, I took life from her.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard spent 24 years of her life in a wheelchair with a feeding tube and an oxygen tank. She had every condition imaginable, muscular dystrophy, leukemia, and none of it was real. Her mom made the whole thing up, and Gypsy had her killed. And that's what most people know about the story, but in reality, that's just the halfway mark.
I went to prison for 8.5 years because I my own mom.
Oh my God.
After Gypsy got out of prison, something really weird happened. An online community started to form, hell-bent on taking her down. Her reality show, her new book, and her baby.
She taught me how to be a good liar, a very good liar without any conscience.
And it seems like the more famous Gypsy got, the louder that community grew.
You know Gypsy Rose Blanchard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's all a lie.
Y'all were the ones that tried to make her famous for ending her mother's life.
And some of these people say that they have proof that Gypsy was not a victim at all.
Every single thing you've ever heard out of their mouths about this is a lie.
Lies!
I sat down with Gypsy Rose Blanchard for several hours, and I've interviewed many of her critics. I actually have no idea where we're going with this, but
I don't either. That's why I was like, I wanted to hop on a call with you because I'm like, what is this about?
How comfortable are you with uncomfortable questions?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's anything that
I could find that you haven't seen already.
Exactly.
If you want to follow this saga, check out Pretend wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Come on in. We're going to be talking to Javier in a moment. Let's just say hi to the chat. What is going on, everybody? Trouble Puffs coming in here. Brit92, Mousy XOXO, Benny coming in here from the Reddit land. Belinda is me. Belinda the legend, guys. Rainbow Ribbons, Layla Lay, all these super OG channel legends. Jade 420, Lori 420. Did I say that twice? Oh, there's two 420s. You weed smokers, you. Dreamer. We love Dreamer. Jelly Thieves in the house. Everybody coming in here. You know, I don't want to keep our guests waiting here. So let's move over and talk with none other than Javier. Javier Leiva. Is that correct? Did I get that name?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep. Are we live?
We are. No, we're not. No, this is right. No, we are live now. So don't say anything you don't want out
All right.
there. I'm kidding.
Yep.
Wow, it's good seeing you. Look at Javier looking good over here. He's got a nice setup over here. I guess you're no longer in a, is it true you're in a walk-in closet doing pretend podcasts?
No, my wife kicked me out of our walk-in closet. It sounded great, by the way. It was because all the clothes were surrounding me, really good sound. But no, I'm now in the office with the dogs that you'll
see. I did my research because I did read somewhere that I had a limited time because you said you would do it last night or something like that. So I read up on it. Something like you're in a closet and it has a dampening of the sound, so that's why you're recording in there. Is that a true story?
It's awesome. It's
okay.
a true story. And in the summer it gets really, really hot. So
I bet. But that's pretty hilarious because you do anything to get audio to the most professional level. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. And I don't know if your audience knows this, but like if they look at my YouTube and my social media, I don't have much of a presence there because I'm really truly just an audio podcaster. So like my podcast is really successful, but I really suck at social media and YouTube, and I'm trying to get better. That's my goal for this year.
Perfect. Like I told you before, I think your trailer that we just played was edited very well. Did you do it yourself?
The trailer, yeah, and okay. I did it in a day. The whole thing has been moving pretty fast. In fact, I want to acknowledge something that is so embarrassing. I had a typo on the the show art, and it was like that for several days, and nobody told me about it until recently, and I'm like, crap.
Obsession was spelled incorrectly, correct?
Yeah. But that's what happens when you're a very small team of one and you're trying to pump the, I'm writing, I'm researching. Luckily I have an editor, thank God. But now I need to add a proofreader to my staff.
You know what? Just blame it on AI. Just say AI did that.
That's right. It was a hallucination. Yeah.
By the way, if you curse, go ahead. Knock yourself out. I don't mind.
All right. No problem. Right.
Well, Javier, thanks for coming in here. I appreciate that very much. Hey, by the way, chat, how does the microphone level sound? Can you guys hear us both equally beautifully, I hope? Let me know in chat. Type 1 if that's the case. Don't type that out. Type 2 if it's terrible. Someone's audio is terrible, and we'll catch on to that. Everything sounds good. It looks like it does. All right, Javier. Let's talk about you're an investigative journalist. What are your titles? Like, because you're a producer, you write your own stuff, the storylines.
You know, I used to call myself a former journalist because I started my career in journalism. I went to school for journalism, for broadcast journalism specifically, not because when you're in journalism school, you get to pick, right? You're either a print guy, a radio guy, or a TV guy, and I chose to be the TV guy. And I would look down on the radio guys because this is the early 2000s. I'm like, why the hell would anybody major in radio? Radio's dead, and look at me now. I'm in radio.
You're talking about broadcasting in general back in early 2000s.
Yeah. And so I started out in local news. I was never in front of the camera. Because I just don't like being in front of the camera. I wanted to be behind the scenes. So I was a photojournalist, did that for many years, but I got out of news because I don't know if your audience follows the news business, but it's pretty much going under. They don't pay very well. It's just a terrible business right now. And so I got out of news and I started working in marketing and doing like commercials, directing commercials and corporate videos and stuff like that. And so I call myself a former journalist, but I've been doing journalism for 9 years now. I think I could reclaim that title again because I started pretend because I missed it. I missed the newsroom. And the newsroom kind of sucks because sometimes they'll send you out and you got to cover like boring city council meetings and stuff like that. But pretend I'm my own newsroom. I get to cover whatever the hell I want to, right? It's like my show. And I'm still doing it. I'm still doing the same things I was doing in news. I'm just doing it for myself.
Now, Pretend Podcast, you started, was it in 2017, I read? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And how did that come about? How'd you decide like, hey, this is something I want to do on my own, like Pretend Podcast? How did the idea come about?
The answer, I wish I said, I had this brilliant idea, and it wasn't. It was Pretend was supposed to be an
just say it was a brilliant idea. Come on.
Yeah.
It was play it off.
It was not a true crime show at all. Actually, when it first started, I had developed a stage fright. I don't know why, because like in my early 20s, I would do stand-up comedy, like open mic nights, like nothing serious, but I felt very comfortable on stage. And then the older I got, the more afraid I got to speak in public, like even to my team at work. Like I would talk to them and my heart would just start racing, and I just didn't understand what happened, right? And so I said, I have to get back on stage, do comedy again, but this time I have to pretend to be someone else, because if I go in as Javier, Javier can't do it. Javier is scared, right? But if I go in character, I could pull this thing off. And then I thought, wow, that sounds like a really cool idea for a podcast. Like people pretending to be someone else, like ghostwriters and comedians and actors and stuff like that. And that quickly went south. I think I did 5 episodes like that, and they never aired, by the way. My cousin, he's the black sheep of the family. He's was getting ready to go to federal prison. And everybody knew that he's had like a long criminal history, right? But like nobody ever sat down and like asked him why he was going to prison. And so I said, hey, Eric, do you mind if I sit down and just record? And he told me everything, man. He told me from the time he started breaking into cars, breaking into houses, then he was staging car accidents for insurance fraud, all the way to he opened up a medical clinic, hired a real doctor to write opioid prescriptions. And that's how he got busted. And that's why he was going to prison. And when he told me that, my jaw just dropped, because I knew he was up to no good, but I had no idea. And so then then it clicked. It was like, pretend. Oh, it's not about this artsy fartsy show. It's about con artists, you know?
Yeah.
And so right after I did that interview, I'm like, okay, I got to find another one and another one and another one. And here we are. 9
So,
years
so
later.
essentially, it didn't start off as a true crime podcast. You just said, right?
Mm-mm.
So,
I don't even like true crime.
oh,
Can I tell
really?
you?
That's
I,
interesting.
I,
that you
yeah,
ended
like
up here.
yesterday, somebody I was at an event and somebody was like telling me, "Hey, do you know anything about this so and so case?" And I'm like, I suck at true crime trivia. I only know like the ones that I'm working on right now. Which right now, ask me anything about Gypsy
You
Rose
know it all.
Blanchard. Yeah, but you ask me about
much as
something
you do.
else, like I have no idea.
So essentially, con artists, maybe like scammers, frauds, manipulation, stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah,
imposters.
because I don't like the bloody, the blood and guts stories. Like I just find con artists so interesting. Like I still find them interesting.
Right. And what, you know what? Let's get this out of the way. You're from Raleigh, North Carolina, or you moved there.
Yeah, that's where I live now.
Let's get this out of the way. Number one, Tar Heels or Duke?
Ooh, those are fighting words. You see, I'm a transplant, so I could go either way. And
Be
like,
very
right now,
careful, or I'm going to kick you out of the studio.
What was it?
Be very careful. I'm going to kick you out of the studio and what you choose.
I started, going to a lot of Duke games, but lately,
Just stop right there. Stop right.
Okay.
That's good enough. Don't say lately and pivot. All right.
NC State. No, just kidding.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Carolina. I've been gravitating toward Carolina.
All right, guys. This interview is
it's going south already. Right? Yeah.
Now, talk about. So you're in Florida before this, before Raleigh.
I mean, in news, I traveled a lot, moved around a lot, but yeah, Florida. Originally from Miami, Florida.
You worked at the PBS station in Tampa.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah, that's where I got my start. Yeah,
and
making documentaries. Yeah.
So besides photojournalism, right? And you also were heavy into advertising and marketing. Was that a job that you held? And you created some campaigns for some companies.
Man,
some
I used to
companies.
do commercials for like AutoZone, Hilton, Ashley Furniture, a bunch of stuff. At one point, I did a commercial for a gastroenterologist, and then I had every butt doctor in town wanting a commercial for me, and I was like, all right, I got to get out of this business.
You don't like butts?
I don't know. There's only so many ways that you could do gastroenterology commercial.
I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that at all. Javier, talk about you won 4 Mid-South Regional Emmy Awards. What the heck is a Mid-South? Is it a real Emmy award?
Yeah.
You won?
Oh, yeah. These are real.
Really?
It's real heavy, too. Like, these are...
Send me one.
I won for... Yeah. I won these for some of the commercials that I did.
Wow, guys. Let's see. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
The reason why they're regional is because we know about the national Emmys, which are like either the daytime or primetime Emmys, but the country is divided into regions. And so the Mid-South region includes Tennessee and North Carolina, maybe parts of Virginia, I'm not sure, or South Carolina. And so, yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool to win an Emmy. I have 4 of these guys, and they're sharp. Actually, talk about a perfect weapon for true crime. You poke somebody in the eyes with these 2 things.
I see that as a weapon.
Bang them in the head.
I have 4 YouTube plaques. What if I send you
cool.
one and give me an Emmy?
We'll trade because I
want
have
it.
that.
Let's talk about some of your other accomplishments because outlets like New York Times, was it BBC World News? They all covered your work. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, it's been so cool, man. Like I would have never known that. Like I would have been on the New York Times and BBC. I feel like we're gloating. Like I thought we were gonna be talking about Gypsy.
We're trying to get to know you.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah. So
we're not going to talk about Gypsy. We're talking about.
All right, whatever.
I'm kidding.
Whatever you want. No, but it is really cool that this podcast has offered me that opportunity. I've been on Netflix. They based a Netflix series off one of my shows. I'm might be working on one right now. I can't say.
All right. Calm down.
And it's cool though. Like that, it's great because like that's actually what I really would like to do is get back into television, making documentaries because that's what I set out to do originally. It's just that podcasting was a lot easier.
I mean, do you feel like when people say mainstream media these days, do you think it's non-existent anymore? Mainstream media is dead and it's all about social media. What is your perspective on that, being from the broadcasting and news sort of outlet that you've worked for?
And it's really sad. Like this is like a topic I actually am really passionate about. I think that mainstream media is like dying. It's consolidating. So more and more corporations are buying them up, and people just don't trust. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the country does not trust what comes out of national news, and so what I think is interesting, the pivot point for journalism right now is that content creators, whether they came from journalism school or not, are now the new Walter Cronkite. We are delivering the news. There's a lot of problems with that, right? Because not everybody follows the right ethics or anything like that. I mean, if everyone has a phone and everyone could be a journalist, then we get a lot of unfiltered information out there. But I feel like there are some content creators that are really making a name for themselves and earning people's trust. The problem with news is that like everybody now picks the flavor of news that they like, and that kind of sucks. But I don't know if there's ever going back,
Yeah. I mean, with social media, the internet, it's pretty dangerous, right? Because misinformation could spread wild, and to even correct that, who do you go to as a source to be reliable, to be like, no, here's the fact check on all these things.
I think what I would tell anybody is that we're not going to go back to those old days where we had the three main networks or whatever. And we still have like big outlets like the New York Times, Washington Post, stuff like that. But I would say if you hear something, be a better consumer of news, right? So don't just take one source. When you hear something and it's like, oh, that sounds a little weird or too good to be true, try to compare it to other sources, and then you might find some semblance of truth. You know what I mean? But I think what's dangerous is that we don't even read the news anymore. We're reading headlines on social media, right? That the headline could be misleading. Like people don't read anymore, So yeah, it's dangerous. Just be a smarter consumer of news,
Yeah. And, I wanted to talk a little bit more about your accomplishments real quick, wrap it up here with that before you get a big head. Pretend podcast surpassed 5 million audio downloads during 2024 alone.
That might be outdated.
Okay, well, update.
Yeah, it's crazy because you're a YouTuber, right? And so you could see other content creators' YouTube stats. Like it's all
on Social Blade is a website.
But podcasting is very like mysterious, right? Like how many downloads does a podcast have? And even as a podcaster, it's hard for me to keep track of this stuff. And I just recently looked, and Pretend has over 20 million downloads.
Wow.
It gets on a good month 500,000 downloads for the entire catalog. On a regular month, it's like about 300,000 downloads. So it's great, man. Like podcasting reaches a lot of people. I mean, I consume podcasting more than I do YouTube, but I mean, this audience might be the reverse, right? Like people are watching YouTube. So maybe it's backwards for them. I'd like to see that in the comments, actually. Like, do you listen to more podcasts or YouTube?
Yeah, I'm not much of I'm a YouTube guy. So podcast, I listen to video podcasts on YouTube.
Isn't that funny? So you have it playing, but you're not watching it. You're still listening to it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So we talked about Pretend podcast starting up in 2017, and it was as a hobby initially. That's what you're kind of going for, or was it really a business sort of idea that you're ready to be an entrepreneur in that way?
Nobody in the podcasting space was making money when I got in. Like that never even crossed my mind. It was simply a hobby for everyone, not just for me. Like back in 2017, it was a hobby. It wasn't until after, like around closer to right before the pandemic, actually. It wasn't even after the pandemic. It was right before the pandemic that businesses and companies started looking at podcasting as this new thing, and they started, big companies started buying up these little podcasts, and then every celebrity had a podcast, and then it became a money making machine, and then the podcasting bubble popped because these big companies realized that podcasting is not that profitable.
Well, I can see why, because there's so many, and then you have to go get sponsors, right? And so that's where a lot of the big money comes, signing some contracts with some sponsorships and stuff like that. But hey, kudos to you. Started 2017. You're going right now, still strong. And that's... Well,
I could use your advice on how to transition to YouTube, because I seriously want to do that.
That I can do. That's going to cost you about 2 more Emmys, though.
It's just hard, man. Like, I don't know how to take my show. Like, I don't know if your audience has listened to my show yet, but it's like a documentary, and if I did that on YouTube,
I have an idea, but
week,
we'll talk about it behind the scenes.
All right, we can talk.
I think you'd be perfect. Just your storytelling, just by hearing some of the stuff that you're doing. I think
just coming on and talking. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Right. and I did talk to you about that during our interview. I said, hey, you should definitely do like a video format of this. And you're like, like maybe, but it's like a lot of work, bandwidth and all that. So, but I think it would have been killer too. Sorry for the pun there. So your reporting and interview style, is it kind of like always about, hey, I want to get both sides of the story in a deception or like a manipulative or like a story you're trying to tell, I guess? You're trying to always get both sides, or is it this one was unique, the Gypsy Rose Obsession?
I was taught to get both sides of the story. Like, that's what we're supposed to do. That's not always a hard and fast rule, because sometimes there's one side that's completely wrong. I'm not talking about the Gypsy case. I'm just talking about, I can give you an example. I did a podcast series on this online community that call themselves the Pests. And they're just a bunch of pranksters, but they're really mean. Some of them are really racist, misogynist. I mean, they're pretty awful people. I mean, like, really, really, really awful. The things that they say, they're terrible. And, I was not very interested in getting their side of the story, because I'm like, why? You know what I mean? Like, they're just so bad. But, when I was interviewing the person on the other side of the story, they said, whatever you do, don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. And I'm like, okay, well, now I got to talk to them, because when somebody tells me not to talk to somebody, I'm like, all right.
Try to figure out why they're telling you that.
That's next on my list. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, I mean, I spend my time talking to I don't think about it that way. I'm not thinking about both sides. I'm just trying to think about, if I hear a story, I want to hear it a different way, from a different perspective, you know what I mean? And if I hear it like 3 different ways, then it starts making sense to me. I don't know. I just, that's just the way my brain thinks,
Do you feel like your goal for the Pretend podcast is, getting your viewers, your listeners of the podcast to basically reach their own conclusions, based on whatever you provide for them, whether it's 2 sides of the story? And
oh yeah, I would hate to listen to a podcast that was preachy, like, I don't give a shit what this podcaster or YouTuber thinks, you know what I mean? Like, I want to make my own conclusions, right? I might interject here and there what I think, but I will contradict myself just to make things complicated. Because at the end of the day, I really want you to know, I want you to be the one that comes to that conclusion. I am working on a story right now. I was actually up till 4:00 in the morning last night, because it was like a breaking news type of thing. And I worked on this series for 2 years before I ever released it. It was called The Stalker. And it was about this family that was being stalked. And I was helping them try to identify the stalker. And then, spoiler alert, it turns out that it was the family that was stalking themselves, right?
Oh, wow.
And so there was like 5 people in that house: the husband, the wife, and the 3 kids. Actually, technically a little kid, which we could rule him out because he was a little kid. But one of those 5 people were the stalkers, and we never got resolution in that case. And I was okay with that, because sometimes when I approach a story, I'm not approaching a story after it happened. I'm sometimes riding the wave as it's happening. In fact, when I released that series, I produced 12 episodes. Before I ever released it, I sent it to the detective, and the husband and the wife got indicted, 6 felonies combined, right after that. Right after I sent that to the detective, and we still didn't know conclusively who the stalker was. And last night, and I've been working on the story since 2002, January of 2002. Last night, I found out who the stalker
Wow,
is.
who is
And
it?
Okay. I'm not telling you. I'm releasing the episode tomorrow.
Oh,
It's
man. It
it,
sounds like an
I mean,
MTV Catfish episode, you know.
man, I had so much adrenaline pumping through my body that I just could not sleep. Like I love
Wow.
that. You know what I mean? Like I love like that. That's what keeps me
So this
excited.
was a story you've been following since 2002, you said?
Yeah.
Jeez,
Since
24,
2002, and
almost
I
25
reported on
years.
it. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
smokes. Oh, man.
And I never reported on it until 2024. So 2022 is when I started. Some of my stories take.
Oh,
Most of my stories.
2022. Okay. I thought you said
Yeah, yeah.
2002. I was like,
Oh, I may have said that, and that could be the lack.
I
of
probably
sleep,
heard it wrong, but
2022.
okay.
And most of my stories take about 3 to 6 months to produce. Some of them take years, like that one. So I
Yeah.
mean, it really depends.
Now, you're in North Carolina now.
Mhm.
There's Word of Faith Fellowship over there.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And was that your big breakthrough story that
Yeah,
you covered on
man.
Pretend? And that's
Well, my first story was my cousin's, but I didn't release that one first. That was the first one I recorded. After I did my cousin, I'm like, okay, what's next? What do I, and then I found this cult in Western North Carolina, and that my podcast was successful almost immediately because of that story.
and
Yeah.
there's a church leader, Jane Whaley, over there, right? And you
Mhm.
visited her?
Yeah.
Okay,
She
you met her.
invited me to spend the day with her, which is nuts because I had been reporting on this church for so long that I think, and that's, I think people think that they could manipulate me into kind of, steering the story whichever way they want, and she invited me over and we spent the day together. I sat next to her during the church service. That whole church service was designed for me. Like I just feel it. You know what I mean? Like this was a big show just for me. And she actually performed a deliverance, like a exorcism on me, like at her office. Like she exorcised the demons, and it was great. Actually,
Did that
they
freak you
love
out?
bombed
That
me.
must have been scary a bit.
It was scary getting there, but once I arrived and I got out of my car, they started love bombing me because that's what cults do. Like cults don't show their ass, right?
Right.
Like they show you their best side, and they love bombed the hell out of me. And I got home and I was telling my wife, they're not so bad. And my wife's like, "Are you kidding me? You've been reporting on these guys for like they beat their members, they lock men up, and it's a women run cult, and they're accused of locking the boys and the men in a building for months, years at a time." And I come back home and I'm like, "Oh, they're not so bad." But that's because the love bombing was working, man. It was crazy.
I could understand that. I mean, talk about cults, and we're going to get into the Gypverse and all that. And we'll see what experience that you've had so far with it. Frank Abagnale, we know from Catch Me If You Can, of course, one of the biggest con artists, right?
The best, the most
The
famous
best.
con artist.
Wrote
I
those
think.
checks,
Yeah.
those bad checks, and things like that. Movie about it with Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks,
Mhm.
and you actually interviewed him. Or you tried to, but he didn't. Did he decline the interview or something, or did you actually
He
interview him?
declined the interview. Okay, so a little fun fact. I try to cover people who are not famous, okay, almost as a rule. Okay, so like when you listen to my podcast, I'm hoping that you don't know anything about the case that I'm about to talk to. There's 2 exceptions. There's Frank Abagnale and Gypsy Rose Blanchard. For the most part, I don't like to cover famous cases, but Frank, I have a podcast about con artists, and Frank Abagnale is the best con artist of all time, right?
Yeah.
So I invited him on my show because I thought, why wouldn't he want to be on my show, right? And he declined, and because he declined, I started looking into him, and then I found out, oh yeah, the reason why he declined is because his life story is bogus. Like 90% of it is a lie. Like, not even kidding. He's a con artist. He just didn't do any of those things that Leonardo DiCaprio did in the movie.
Oh, okay. So they kind of like exaggerate on certain things and stuff, probably.
That's being very fair.
Okay.
Because, you know, when you watch a movie and you're like, oh, based on a true story, you know that the director kind of, you know, maybe consolidated some characters or like changed the timeline a little bit to it can make sense or whatever. That's not what happened here. This is a movie based off of an autobiography that is a complete lie. So Frank Abagnale did pose as a pilot at one point in his life, but he was never a lawyer or a doctor or a professor, and the FBI was not hunting him down for several years, and he did not cash what is it, like, I forget the number, it's like $2.5 million in bad checks. Yeah, he did some of those things, but it's not
on a lesser scale.
Yeah. And like the biggest lie is that this was an innocent crime, right? That nobody got hurt. And my investigation not only showed that his life story was bogus, but he really was a con artist and real people did get hurt. Like there are victims out there that he still owes a lot of money to. And
Right.
he is so rich. The guy lives on an island in South Carolina and Charleston. He can just take off his Rolex and like cash that in and pay his victims back. And he wouldn't even feel it, but he doesn't. He continues to lie.
Yeah, because
see,
of
if I
all the
were him-
speaking engagements he gets paid for. I mean, we're talking about tons of money.
$40,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to go on stage to talk about a life that he never lived, which is nuts.
That is crazy. And I promise you, we're going to get to the Gypverse very soon.
I'm cool.
Donnie Brasco. You know what? You actually interviewed Johnny Depp, kind of. The character, Donnie Brasco, portrayed by Johnny Depp, Joe Pistone.
Yeah, so you corrected me.
agent.
So there's 3 famous cases. I forgot about Joe Pistone. Yeah, the real Donnie Brasco. Yeah, he was a cool guy, man. Like he's the only guy that I've interviewed on a Zoom call that wears sunglasses.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe Johnny Depp would do the same.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say, what did you learn from interviewing Joe Pistone as far as deception goes, and from that angle, that perspective, because he was an undercover FBI agent, right? So
yeah, he went deep undercover for several years. And the one thing that sticks out from my interview with Joe Pistone is that when I go to a restaurant, make sure that my back is not facing like the rest of the restaurant. Like I always want to see who's coming in the restaurant and never have my back, always have my back against the wall. Right. So that he taught me that. But what I learned about him is that in order to go deep undercover, it's the best thing to do is to be yourself. Right. So he used a name that if somebody said Joe, he would respond. Right. Like if he was called Charlie all of a sudden, he wouldn't respond to that. That would give him away. And he was just himself. Right. So he didn't feel like he was supposed to be acting. And I think that's how he got away with it. I mean, the guy almost became a made man in the mafia.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
The last thing I want to talk about, and I promise you we're going to get to Gypsy Rose after this.
I'm fine if we never even talk about
You know what?
It's so funny. No.
Let's just talk about our SKU.
I was looking at your poll, which is hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
It says anti-Gypsy, pro-Gypsy, neutral. And then there's 53% of people that are over it. And
I'm going to end it.
I'm only one episode in, and I might be part of that 53%.
53% are over it, anti-Gypsy 27%. So that's still a high number. And neutral 15, pro-Gypsy. But you know what? Those numbers are not accurate because this audience is a minority compared to the majority over there at the anti-Gypsy camp, if that makes sense. And you probably felt that in your comment section. We don't have to talk about that.
Oh yeah, man. Well, that's wild. That's like a first. I've never experienced that much engagement. And it almost feels like a machine gun fire. Like I can't even keep up with it. And like these prison calls, I was talking to Amber from Into the Weeds. I'm like, I need a little help just keeping track of which one's which. Like some of these calls are hours long, but we only hear snippets, and some things are out of context. So I feel like I need to listen to the whole call, and that could be like that's like a whole like rabbit hole time suck all on its own. So
yeah, from what I heard from Amber Into the Weeds, it's about what 46 to 48,000 files, meaning there's a lot of phone calls over these past
8 years.
Yeah,
8 years.
Yeah.
Phone calls.
But you know
nuts.
what? They're probably almost done with it, those anti-people, because they're so.
Well, this is
so
it,
crazy.
right? Like, what else could they possibly get after this, right? So like Amber and Alora got the FOIA files, the Sunshine files from Missouri, right? Which is huge, right? Because that shed a lot of light. And then Fancy released part of the medical record, so we have that. And now these prison calls. What else is there to request, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, from that standpoint, yeah, but they will find ways to always get content because of Gypsy being on social media. So until that ends, which it won't, even if that ended, I don't think so. But I did want to mention before we do get into this Gypsy Rose stuff, the Stalker. So that was that the most talked about series that you had or investigations that you had on Pretend Podcast? Was that the most popular?
No, actually, not really. I think it's my best work. It's just like it's a whodunit, and who doesn't like that, right? Like
And that's what you're talking about earlier that you finally found out.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the
and that's the
Stalker.
Fernandez family.
Yeah, but I would say the most popular, like if I had to say, was the LaDonna series, which that was a big investigation.
Well, that's the one I was going to leave out. But since
can't
we're
leave
there,
out
now we
LaDonna,
can't
man.
leave that out. And so there's allegations from people accusing her of what, harassment or fabricating some evidence or something like that.
Yeah, so let me set it up for your audience that is fortunate enough not to know about LaDonna. So LaDonna Humphrey is a true crime podcaster. She's an author, true crime author. She speaks at CrimeCon here in the US and the UK. She has her own podcast. I mean, like the woman has staked her career in true crime. And outwardly, if that's all you know, you would think, oh, wow, she's just another true crime person. And she's very articulate. She's very good. But then I started getting messages from people who said that they were being victimized by LaDonna, that LaDonna was harassing them. And these were victims that had nothing in common. Okay. So like I'm getting these people talking to me that have never really even met in person, that have no connections. And the only common denominator is LaDonna. And I started taking it really seriously. And it turns out that some of these allegations checked out, that she was accused of tormenting the victims of these true crime stories to create content in some cases. And that's just like the Cliff Notes version.
Right.
It goes
It gets
much
deeper
deeper
and
than
deeper.
that. But it was like this one of the, I think there's like a movie that's kind of like that, where the reporter is actually the killer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's nuts. If you want a fun one to go down, that
Is that on your YouTube channel, the LaDonna Humphrey story?
Yeah, all of my podcast series are audio only, but they are available on YouTube. I have a Spotify playlist that, because you see a lot of my podcasts, I finish the series and then there's updates, And so what I did was I created a playlist, and I could share that with you guys later, a playlist where it collects all the bonus episodes and everything all in one. And that's a fun series. If you have a long road trip.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds pretty crazy and very in depth. And so if that's something you recommend, I think a lot of people should go check it out.
Yeah. The Stalker, Frank Abagnale, and LaDonna. Those are some fun ones.
Just the entire podcast, guys.
Just those are the most of my episodes are like 1 or 2 episodes per topic, but there are some like this Gypsy series that I think it's going to be 10 episodes. But I don't know.
All right. Since you brought it up, let's talk about Gypsy Rose. The Gypsy Rose Obsession, spelled incorrectly, by the way.
Obsession.
So, Pretend series. Now you decided, hey, I'm going to do this Gypsy Rose Obsession. Part 1 released yesterday? Yeah, it was August 11th, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
That was like the longest 24 hours ever.
Oh, it's going to get longer.
Yeah.
Especially your emails and direct messages. I'm sure there's
Oh,
going to
man.
be mountains and mountains of messages to you. So how long did you spend investigating or like, okay, when did the idea come about or how did you start hearing about the Gypverse in particular?
Actually, it was one of my listeners, and this is probably one of the fastest investigations because I think I just started working. So we're in August. Maybe I was aware of it like in the springtime. One of my listeners, she's great. She told me, hey, you should really look into this, and it piqued my curiosity. And then I saw that Andrea Dunlop had done an interview with Gypsy. And so I was like, oh, well, she already knows Gypsy. I wasn't sure how accessible Gypsy was, like, some of these people you contact and got, like,
Andrea Dunlap is, go ahead and
Andrea
explain to the
Dunlop,
audience.
she's the host of Nobody Should Believe Me. She's kind of if you don't know about her, but she takes up a lot of my comments from the anti-Gypsy crowd. They don't really like her, but we've worked together in the past, and we have a good working relationship.
She's
and
the
Andrew's like
Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah, Munchausen by Proxy podcast. It's called Nobody Should Believe Me, and I Andrea was like, yeah, this is crazy. Her comments were blowing up too, kind of like what's happening to me right now. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe there's something here. And honestly, Andrea connected me to Gypsy in an email. You know how like people introduce themselves? They're like, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend Javier. An hour later, I was on the phone with Gypsy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How did you hook up with Gypsy?
I had no time to prepare. Like no time to prepare.
So Andrea knew Gypsy.
Mm-hmm.
And had a connection with her. And did Gypsy didn't do her podcast, so I don't remember that happening. Or
she
had a
did.
podcast.
She did like 2 episodes on it.
She did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you hook up with Gypsy via connection through Andrea. What is Andrea? Is that what does she do? Yeah. YouTube? Andrea?
She does podcasts like me, audio only.
Okay. Yeah. And so to talk about that, so you talked to Gypsy quickly over the phone. Mm-hmm. What was your pitch to her in the introduction that you were interested in something?
Man, you listened to it like that first episode, and I'll release it. I meant to do that today. I just haven't had time, but I want to release that first call. I'm going to release almost all my interviews in full, just so that people could, for transparency. But that first episode is basically my entire call with Gypsy, and what you're listening to is me walking into it blind. Only have seen the HBO documentary years ago. Like I didn't even know the fine details of the case. I couldn't name specific people. Like Nick, I probably couldn't have named Nick. I remember Gypsy and Dee Dee, and that was it. So yeah, that first episode was raw, like unexpected. I just started recording, and at the end of the call, I was just kind of feeling it out to see if she would be interested in talking with me, and it seemed like she was, right? And so I said, and this was like, I did not even plan this out. I said, well, how would you feel if I flew down there and hung out with you for the day? And she was open to it, and I booked the flight, and
wow, things moved quickly there.
It moved very quickly. Yeah.
What was your first impression of Gypsy when you, I guess, were doing the video call with her?
I found her very easy to talk to. She was very open, like she wasn't shying away from any questions. And I was like, okay. I mean, we gelled, and you could hear it in that conversation. It wasn't like she was being cagey about anything. We were just having a conversation.
Now, because you didn't really know her, or know much about her except for some of the basic, like you watch the Hulu, The Act, or something like that. And,
I haven't watched.
Oh, you didn't even watch that? Okay,
I still haven't.
Just the Mommy
that.
Dead and Dearest documentary. You said so.
Yeah, I just recently rewatched that, just for context. But yeah.
Did you have specific questions already for her on that call? Was it so spontaneous you didn't even have time to prepare for that?
No, usually I do have an interview guide where but by the time, usually when I talk to you, I have researched the hell out of you. I know who your cousins are. I know where you live. I know your dog's name. You know,
Hey,
I do my
relax, man. How do you know my family? I'm kidding. You're not talking about me.
But in this case, I just kind of went with it. It was kind of freestyle. But now, when I met with her in Louisiana, I actually don't think I prepared that much for an interview ever in the whole history of the show, because there was so much content out there, and I wanted to make sure. And I still feel like by the time I met her, I still didn't know everything, you know, but I was cramming it in like I was getting ready for like a test or something like that. And I tried to comb through the internet, through the forums, to everything, just to find out what everybody had beef with her about and just ask her. That was my plan. And so that interview was very like structured. Like I had multiple pages of questions.
How long did that interview run for? The in-person interview with Gypsy?
Almost 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. No breaks, or you guys took a break?
We took one tiny break. Yeah.
Did you spend all day with her, or just that time that you're talking with her?
Well, I picked her up at like 8 or 9 in the morning. I picked her up from her house, which was wild. At first, she told me that her daughter was going to join us, and I was like, oh boy. Part of me was like, hey, you know, that's not ideal for audio, and
right,
having a little kid running around, you know,
it's distracting.
But I did want to observe her as a mother. You know what I mean? Like that would have been really interesting. That was actually one of my goals, but that didn't end up happening because she got a babysitter and she asked me to pick her up. And so I picked her up. She didn't want to shoot at her house, so we got an Airbnb, and that was so cool. I got an Airbnb in the middle of the swamp. It was awesome.
So you guys do the interview there, and is it just Gypsy, or does she have like an entourage or a group of people? Does she have Ken there?
Gypsy. No, just Gypsy. It was just me and my producing partner, and we went down there, picked her up, and had an awkward 30-minute ride to the Airbnb because I'm like, this woman has been convicted of murder, you know, and she's like in the back seat. I'm already violating the Donnie Brasco, Joe Pistone.
I see what you're saying. You got to have her in the front seat, is what you're saying, right? Was that what you're saying?
You know, no, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know.
But no, it was super awkward at first. I think it was awkward for her. It was awkward for me. But then, you know, once we did the interview, it was interesting watching the interview because, like, while I was doing the interview, I thought everything was cool. I thought we were gelling just like we were that first call. And watching it back, there were moments where I could tell that I was getting on her nerves. You know, like I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't evident there, but I could tell that. And I tried to space out the questions so that it wasn't just like a machine gun, like, you know, shitting on her the whole time. But she answered every question. Like, she answered every question. There was nothing that she was not willing to answer, and there was no PR team. Nothing. Like, I'm being honest with you. I even asked Andrea, I said, did you have to talk to a PR team when you booked her? And she said, nope, there's no PR team.
Yeah, so she just off the fly just said, hey, come on down. I'm ready. So you pitched an idea to her before you flew down. So what was that like? Were you just like, hey, I want to explore the Gypverse, the anti side and the pro side? Did you even know what you're going to, like, what idea you had presented to her before she even said, yeah, sure, come on down?
No, this was, and she knew from that first call that the whole concept is about the anti side, right? So, in fact, my original plan was just to interview Gypsy and then only to interview anti side.
Okay.
Remember, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted the ratio to be off, right? Because it's Gypsy against the world. And she, unfortunately, she's the only one that has the answers to some of these questions, right? We might not be getting an honest answer, but, you know, Dee Dee's not here to defend herself. So all we have is Gypsy, you know? I have ended up interviewing some pro-Gypsy people, but the balance is still more anti-Gypsy than
there's a majority there. Are you able to name off some of the people or all of the people that you've interviewed? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, because
Yeah.
So my comment, and I stopped reading the comment. Keep tagging me on stuff because like maybe it's good for you to tag me so that I could see if something big happens. But for the most part, the comments just started being the same. It's like, read the FOIA files, read
Do
the
your
medical
research.
records. Yeah, do your research. This guy hasn't read the FOIA files. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
So the first interview, I think the first interview I did after interviewing Gypsy was with the Into the Weeds ladies because they're the FOIA files. Everybody kept saying, read the FOIA files. So, and I love them. They are awesome.
Yeah, they're
like
really
I really
good.
did. And I wasn't sure what to expect because remember, you guys know more about this than I do, right? And you guys know all the players
Right.
and all the interpersonal drama. I don't know any of these people, but I love them so much just because they have that, even though they are not journalists, that when we were talking about like independent journalism being the future, that's what it's all about, right? Like people that are like doing first source reporting, like they went out and got these FOIA files, you know what I mean? And that's all it takes, right? And then there's, I don't know who did this, but then there's somebody else online that made a website that's super helpful with like the timeline and this and that. And like,
yeah.
I mean, this just really professional stuff. So I really love them. Then I talked to,
I think the
I don't know
website was
what-
GRB Evidence or like
Yeah.
something. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know the order, but I talked to Nancy Simpson. She was awesome, really good.
The
'cause,
local
she was a
reporter
journalist too.
over
Yeah,
there
she was
at
great.
Missouri, Springfield, right?
Yep.
She was former.
Loved her.
Yeah.
There were people that, and I still haven't talked to this guy, and you might be able to remember his name. That he doesn't even think that Gypsy even has a child.
That
child is
chick?
like- I don't know. It's a guy, I think. I haven't talked
No,
to him.
he acts like a chick. You're talking about Scott. You're talking about case studies or Karma Collector.
Karma Collector.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
I haven't talked to him.
Oh,
yet.
he's
I haven't
not a
talked to
chick.
him
He's a
yet.
man.
I talked to Audrey, Audacious Audrey. I've been talking with Becca offline. She can't do it. You know, she's very, like supportive of the work from what I could tell. I don't know. Maybe she's talking shit about me. I don't know. But she would like to do it, but she can't do it. Let's see. Who did I talk to? A lot of TikTokers have been trying to reach out to them. Some of them have declined. I actually found it harder to get anti-Gypsy people to talk to me than pro-Gypsy, than Gypsy herself, which I thought that was kind of crazy because I would think.
Why do you
like,
think
these
that is,
people
though?
have-
Do
well,
you have
because
an
they
assumption?
kept asking me, they're like, what's your angle? And that was a question for everybody. And, a lot of these people, their livelihood depends on,
Exactly.
not having another side. So they saw no benefit in seeing like an objective story.
Yeah,
They
because
just
if
want
they
to
go
know
against the
that's-
grain of their majority, then they get backlash. I know how that's like. Into the Weeds knows how that's like too. So, you got to keep your viewers happy. You don't wanna
Somebody
stray
in the
away.
comment said something that reminded me, and I would like to. I'm not going to say this on the podcast, so I might as well say it here.
Go ahead.
No, Becca, I don't think asked to get paid, but some creators did. Some creators said, "How much does this pay?" And my answer is always, "I don't pay for this. That would be so unethical, right? Like that."
Wait, I'm not
that's
getting
a hard-
paid. I'm not getting paid for
No,
the interview.
no, you're not getting paid.
Oh, what the heck?
And Gypsy's not getting paid. I don't pay people. First of all, I'm an independent podcast. Like, what do you think I made out of money? I don't.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I'd be so broke if I had to pay people.
So you went Into the Weeds. So Gypsy at the top, Into the Weeds, Nancy Simpson. Who are the others now that you interviewed?
Oh man, let me see.
Audrey.
Audrey. Let's see. I'll tell you. Fancy. I interviewed
Fancy, that's right, Fancy.
Oh, that was a big, I was really working hard at that. And Fancy said no originally, and we went back and forth. And, I was not very forthcoming about my angle because I just didn't think that she would go for it for some reason. I kept hearing things about Fancy and then I was like, will she do this or not? But she's like a very important part of the story, right? If people say, look at the FOIA files, that's Into the Weeds, right? Look at the health record, that's Fancy, right?
That's the
And
medical
so-
records from Fancy. Yeah.
Or sorry, medical records. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just thought it was super important to have her on. And I've spoken to her multiple times now, and we exchange emails all the time. And it's just
She's a tough
that's another
cookie.
one. I didn't know
She's good,
what
but
to
a tough
expect.
cookie.
I actually really like Fancy. We got along pretty well. I don't know, like that rapport that you were saying, like with Gypsy, that I just hit it off with Gypsy. I hit it off with Fancy. I thought I'm sure she was a theater kid, and I love theater people. I used to be, I was almost a theater minor in college.
So you're in this mix of the Gypverse, and you're interviewing these people, different creators. That is, anti side. Now you did the pro side. You interviewed Bree. You did someone like me who was anti, and now I told everyone I'm done with the case. I'm more, I don't want to even say neutral. I'm just like over it, and I don't want to do it anymore. So, so that's what you got there. And as far as like your interview angle or your what is your goal with the whole Gypsy Rose obsession from your own words without me trying to explain it?
So sorry, I got distracted by the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Can hold on to that question? I want to answer.
Go ahead, answer.
Somebody said, did you ask Gypsy about the micro deletion? Yeah, we talked about it. And one of the best interviews that I did for this series is with a genetic counselor. She's a genetic expert. She actually is an expert in chromosomes, and she broke it down so well. And I can't wait. I'm working on that episode next. Like I think it's like episode 5, and that was a really good interview. So yeah, there's a lot that we're going to talk about the micro deletion. But tell me your question one more time, man. I was distracted.
Shit, I forgot it.
No, you said, how would I describe the Gypsy Rose Obsession?
Yeah, how would you describe this podcast series now? Your objective.
Let's talk about the name, the Gypsy Rose Obsession. It's not my favorite title, but it's the one that stuck, and it's obsession with the E. But the reason why I chose obsession is that I think that it could cut both ways, right? Because the criticism is that, and this happened yesterday, I was at my daughter's high school gym, and this 15-year-old girl goes, you interviewed Gypsy Rose. And
wow.
Just the fact that age group thinks I interviewed a rock star is a little disturbing.
How did they know that? How did that? Did you
I think
ask?
it must be the either the Hulu show or like the TikTok dances or I have no idea, man.
But how did they come across your official trailer?
These are people that they follow me just because they know me. Right?
Oh, I see. Okay, close people. Okay,
but the fact that they are so excited about Gypsy Rose it's weird. It's still weird.
So
right?
15-year-old said that.
Yeah,
your daughter's friend.
This happens a lot, actually.
Wow.
My daughter's friends think that's the coolest thing. Like my daughters could give 3 craps about the work that I do.
Right. It's like boring to them.
They don't. Yeah, this is not exciting. But boy, I got Gypsy Rose, and all of a sudden that was like exciting to them. So that's an obsession, right? But then just read my comment section, and these people are obsessed with Gypsy Rose, right? Like the anti side, which is and a very unhealthy obsession, right? So I would say that both sides have a little bit of an unhealthy obsession.
Can you explain?
And I would say that Gypsy Rose is obsessed with Gypsy Rose.
Wow. Okay. So in this entire story of obsession, right? So you're saying that you're basically, I guess, stating that, okay, the anti side has an obsession. Can you explain maybe in further detail what the anti-Gypsy's obsession is like to you, what it looks like, what you've experienced? Can you explain the anti side?
I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
I think that the anti side, at one point, were all pro-Gypsy, or at least sympathetic to Gypsy at one point, right? And then they felt some sort of betrayal by the way that the media shaped this story, right? And they are frustrated because they see all this evidence that's been put out there that they're just like shouting into the void, and nobody listens to it, right? Like the media does not pick up this side of the story, and they're just angry about it. And it's become a fever pitch now where they're just now shouting the same thing and nobody can hear them. Like that's my interpretation of the anti-gypsy side. And then I've spoken to some people who have messaged me, and they're victims of either like their parents were kind of controlling a little bit, like the whole Munchausen situation, or some people that suffered sexual assaults or essays. I know we're on YouTube, we shouldn't say that.
It's fine.
And that they just the Demona video and stuff like that, like really resonated with them, and like, how could you support somebody like that? I feel like the anti side is coming from a really deep personal place that goes beyond Gypsy Rose, right? Like it's like a reflection of their where they came from.
And then the pro side's obsession, how would you explain that? Or is that pretty...
That's harder to explain.
Is it really?
That's harder to explain.
Yeah. What do you feel it might be? Like,
I don't know, man.
consistent?
Imagine if Gypsy Rose was a guy, right? I don't think we would be talking about this. Imagine if Gypsy Rose was Hispanic or black, or you know what I mean? Like,
minority.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I do think that there's a phenomenon in true crime where white girls get the attention, right?
Well, that's true.
You see that
true
in
crime wise.
Yeah.
And then,
but I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to that. I asked Gypsy that question. I'm like, why are you famous? Famous for what? And like, I was not trying to be rude. I really was kind of curious.
And what do you think? Because you mentioned Gypsy's obsession. What is your personal thought on that? Like what do you feel is her obsession with? Is it to control her story
with the fandom,
or just in this whole? Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's the stupidest question of all time.
No, I actually don't think it's a stupid question at all, because I think that's actually the central question to this whole thing. It's like, I talk to her all the time, right? Like I still text Gypsy all the time, and I think every time, or if I call her or whatever, I say, you really got to get off of social media. Like I say that over and over and over again, and maybe it's easy for me to say, but for her, I think, and we hear it in these prison calls, and granted, I have not heard everything.
Yeah.
But you hear it that she is determined to either be famous or to live this life. I don't think that Gypsy Rose knows who Gypsy Rose is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think she's like laser focused, and she thinks that the way out is being famous. I don't know, but I don't know how she tunes out the noise. Like that's not healthy,
So your podcast clearly is called the Pretend Podcast, and I'm just going to do some devil advocate work here. So your specialty is it fair to say you investigate people who basically deceive others in a sense?
Yep.
So when it comes to the Gypsy Rose obsession that you investigated here, and if you ask yourself, like, do you possibly think, could Gypsy Rose herself actually be one of the pretenders that your podcast, maybe you unraveled that, or no?
Yeah,
just from your standpoint.
The whole pretend angle, every story that I do should have a pretend angle, right? And that's what I love about my show, man, because like it allows so much flexibility, right? Like to tell different kinds of stories, but there always should be a pretend angle. And to me, the pretend angle is that, Gypsy would like you to believe that she's this victim, that she's innocent. You know what I mean? Like, I think she would like the world to just, my mom was a bad guy and I'm innocent. But the reality is, and we all know this, is that she's not purely innocent, right? Like she participated in some of the fraud. We know that. Mm-hmm. Right. There's a lot of manipulation that she did when it came to Nick. I kind of got her to admit that, but like, I don't even think she believes that. Like, I think she's hardwired to manipulate people, and that's not a knock on her. I just think that that's how she was raised, right? Like if you're taught a certain way, there's just like your first instinct is to lie, right? And so like pretend. Maybe the whole pretend angle with Gypsy is that, like, because I don't think that Gypsy knows who she is, like she's pretending to be this persona that we all know, right? I don't know. I just feel like it cuts. To me, it fits, but I don't know. It might not be so clear cut for everybody else.
No, I get what you're saying there. You know, you opened up the podcast with the line, "What the most beloved convicted murder in America." Now, it's driving the anti-gypsy people crazy because of the word choice that you use, beloved. Yeah. Now, that wording as like, did you? Is it fair to say that you entered the story sympathetic toward her, or was that totally not it? The whole beloved situation, because everybody's caught up on words these days in society.
Yeah. Well, that was intentional.
I want to give you a chance to explain.
I wanted to open up with a bang, right? Like I wanted to grab your attention, and that was. I chose those words intentionally. Those words were also, I cannot remember where I saw that, but that was like a headline somewhere, like something, and maybe it wasn't exactly like that, but something about sweetheart. I might have added the beloved part, but this idea that she's like the way she portrays herself, right? And like this little, like the high pitched voice and like everything's like the Disney World, like, you know, like she's so like lovable. Like that's how she would want people to perceive her, you know? But she's also a convicted murderer, right?
Right.
And I just love the juxtaposition of that. And I thought that line really captured the whole double-sided obsession thing. You know, it's like, I don't know. I just love that. And if it bothered people, I mean, it's just words.
It is.
I think. Yeah,
but that's what the society has come down to. Social media, picking apart every single thing that you say, word by word.
I wrote it on purpose. Right?
Yeah, I wanted a chance for you to kind of fire back on that and at least explain yourself there. Yeah. How long have you been? Would you say you spent a couple of weeks here, a few weeks, a few months? Actually, it seems like you've probably spent a couple months here working on this Gypsy Rose Obsession.
Yeah. And look, a smart producer would be like, let me interview everybody first and get every episode finished before releasing. But that's not the way I roll, man. I just, you know, I'm like, all right, I got, like I'm on episode 5 right now. Like like I'm working on episode 5. I have them all mapped out. Like I have all the episodes mapped out. But I'm like, fuck it, let's just release it.
Yeah, might
because
as well.
I actually think that it's really interesting when you drop something into the world, it changes it, right? And then the story becomes alive, right? It's not like I'm doing this like research paper and then everybody listen to my thesis, you know. I'm like, let her rip, let's do it, you know.
Hey, that's the attitude you should be. I mean, just go, you know, who cares?
Yeah, let's just fucking go.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
But since you spent some time, you know, maybe some months here trying to figure out, were you trying to figure out which side was telling the truth? Did that ever cross your mind?
Oh, no, I never answered your other part of your question.
Okay, go ahead.
It's kind of related to this question, but walking into this, you asked me earlier, like, what side was I on, you know? The anti-gypsy or the pro-gypsy side. And if I have to be honest, like if this is like, you know, like the far end of the spectrum, I was probably closer to the middle, but more on the anti-gypsy side.
Gotcha.
And I told her this. I said, you know, I never felt good about, like, I never understood, like people would watch that documentary and they're like, oh, poor gypsy. And then they would minimize the crime. And I'm like, yeah, poor gypsy, but she freaking killed somebody. And like, I don't think that there's ever a real good reason to kill somebody. And that just never sat well with me. And so I was a little turned off by the whole thing, honestly. And that's when I watched it years ago. And I still felt that way, you know. And I was actually surprised that when I was asking people in my life, you know, about Gypsy Rose, that a lot of people felt that way. You know, like I don't think that most people are as extreme as the people on my YouTube and TikTok comments, but I do think that most people are like feeling a little yuck about the whole thing.
Right. I want to ask you, after you've seen a lot now and you've experienced in the Gypverse, do you still believe there are simply maybe two sides, or did you discover yourself that maybe both sides sometimes manipulate their own narratives, information to support their story that they're trying to believe or get you to believe?
I want everyone to be pissed off by the end of this, and I want everybody to be like, yeah, at least my side was heard, right? Like those two things could be true. And I want everybody to walk into this with an open mind, right? So like if you are pro Gypsy, maybe you're like, they presented a couple things that don't add up, I feel differently now, right? Or if you're anti-Gypsy, I hope that you would walk in there and be like, hey, I felt really strong about this, but maybe some of the things that I was feeling were not in full context, or maybe this is a little bit more gray than I thought it would be. At the end of the day, there really shouldn't be an anti-Gypsy side or a pro-Gypsy side, because Gypsy is a very complicated person, and I just don't think that that's how we should look at it. I'm not trying to like dodge the question. I just don't think that you should be on either side. I think that
those are totally valid points from your end.
Yeah.
I mean, those are your opinions right there. Now, before you started researching this Gypsy Rose thing, because you talked about that a little bit, what did you believe about her story that you now maybe believe was wrong? Is there anything that you could point out?
What did I believe about the story that now I believe is wrong?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, rewatching the Mommy Dead and Dearest, there's a section where they're showing the text messages that led up to the murder between Nick and Gypsy. And let me tell you that, they gave us part of the truth, but they did not paint the full picture there. I feel like those messages, if you read the actual messages, it's like something sexual and a command, something sexual and an instruction, something sexual, and that is straight up manipulation, whether she intended to do it or it just comes out very natural for her. She was guiding him along the way. Oh, you want me to cut the duct tape? Oh, okay, I'm good. I'm gonna get in the bathtub. Oh, here's a knife. I like anal. Like stuff like that. It was just really unnerving to read that.
What is because you sat down with Gypsy, had an interview with her face to face on the phone, but face to face. What was one thing, or was there one thing Gypsy told you during those hours that you spent with her that you simply didn't believe?
The whole school stuff, I've heard enough contradictions about that, and that's such a minor thing, but there's a lot of those little examples, right? Like a lot of these contradictions that she's like, oh, but she explains it away, and it just seems like very trying to control the narrative type of things. I think that's what's interesting about these prison calls, is that you get like unfiltered view of what she really thinks. Whether, I don't know if that's what she really thinks or whatever, but at least the cameras aren't rolling, and it's a little bit more raw. But that must be tough for her to manage that, right? Because she could tell you something like 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden something new pops up which contradicts that, and then she has to like somehow connect those two to make sense. But I'll give you a good example of like yesterday I was talking to her about there's a clip, I'm thinking a lot about her leukemia, or like those claims that she had leukemia, and there's a clip somewhere and I couldn't place it. Like I just found it on TikTok that says, oh yeah, the chemo rotted out my teeth, so I got new dentures or something. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, okay, so now she's saying she had leukemia too, right? And so like I sent her the clip and I'm like, hey, where did this come from? And she goes, oh, that was edited completely out of context. And I go, okay, well, where is the original source? And she actually went, she found it was a Lifetime show, like Locked Up or something like that.
Life After Lockup.
Yeah, Life After Locked Up. And she found the time code. And sure enough, it was completely taken out of context. And that's what happens on TikTok, right? We're only seeing the out of context part. And without any context, it sounds terrible, right?
So you still follow up with Gypsy to this day, because you just said you talked to her yesterday to get some clarification on that. So you still follow up.
Almost daily as I'm working on this stuff. And I'm not just following up with Gypsy. I mean, I see Fancy in the chat, and Amber and all these people. I chat with them all the time because as I'm working,
Fancy, leave this
on it,
gentleman alone. No, I'm kidding.
as I'm working on stuff, I'm asking questions, right? Or like
Yeah.
Nancy, or you know what I mean? Like all these people like are well more versed in this world than I am. Like I've just dipped my toes into this hellscape, and so but they know these answers. They could point me. They could get me the answers so much quicker than I can.
Well, I think so. You did mention the prison calls, which I think I saw you in a comment section saying it was a major curveball, which I totally agree. Because I mean, this is like in the middle of like, like you already did pretty much all the interviews, and boom, here comes the prison calls. It's like, okay, well, now what? You still have to move forward, but so you're already deep in producing this podcast series, and when all these prison calls dropped, and then, but how badly did those specific calls disrupt the story you thought you were possibly making from the get-go?
My first reaction is like, well, my whole series is outdated now. Like it hasn't even come out yet.
Were you thinking of rewriting or rethinking everything again?
I already had the first 3 episodes done. Like,
wow.
And so what
that
I
is
was
a
like,
curveball.
okay, yeah, for these first 3 episodes, I was like, well, I'm not rewriting the episodes, but what I think my rule, because I'm going to stick to my plan. Like, I don't want these prison calls to distract me, because a lot of them are very gossipy, and I'm not going to include that kind of stuff because it's not relevant to what I'm trying to do, right? Like, that's not part of the story. But if it is relevant, I want to fit the relevant ones in the story that I'm planning on telling, right? So like if there's something like, for instance, when that great quote that she has in one of them, which is, I'm paraphrasing, but I didn't kill my mother, you know which one I'm talking about, right? Like, so that other people tell me how to live my life or something like that. I was like, well, that fit very nicely, I think, in episode 2 or 3, you know what I mean? So what I did was I just tacked it on to the end. But now that they've come out and I'm currently writing other shows, and I will naturally weave them into the episode if they actually make sense, you know?
Correct. Yeah. Now, when you're hearing, well, how about this? Did you hear anything from the prison calls? I haven't kept up. I don't care about that stuff, but I'm asking you specifically because you're into it. Did you go like, when you're listening to these prison phone calls, did you ever say, okay, this doesn't match the Gypsy I interviewed? Or did that ever come to mind? And
well, that one soundbite taken out of context sounds terrible, right? I didn't kill my mother for other people to tell me how to live my life. And it is terrible. I'm not a Gypsy apologist, by the way. But when you listen to that whole call, like that complete call, I think it's with Ken, they're having what sounds like a breakup, right? And I think that they were having a conversation about like Ken's mom not approving of her, or like, and remember, the Gypsy, in her mind, she's only had 2 years of freedom. That's what she tells me, right? Like her whole childhood, she was with Didi, and then she was in prison, right? So she's only been out for 2 years, and she's dead set on living a certain life, right? Whether that's famous or whatever. But she has it in her head that I'm going to be selfish now. This is about me. Whatever. And so she's like, I'm not going to have people tell me how to live my life. And I think that's what she was saying. I think what happened was the whole, I didn't fucking murder my mom. I mean, and that's what we hear in these prison calls they're so tasteless. Like some of the things that they're talking about. I mean, I know that there's racism and this and that. And, but that's what happens when you listen into calls that people think that will never see the light of day.
Released to the public in such a way. Like I was saying the other day on a live stream, like just imagine someone got a hold of our private calls or from years and years back, and emails and things, or text messages. It would do wonders here. I'm going to let you go soon, but
no problem. How long have we been doing this, by the way?
Probably 10 hours.
Oh, all right.
Did the prison calls force you to reconsider anything at all, or was it just major?
No, it threw me off course for a little while, but I think I'm back on course. My only fear is that I'm gonna miss something just because there are so many of them, and it's really hard to write. I'm in producer mode right now. I'm like writing scripts,
Mhm.
so really heads down on this stuff, and so it's hard for me to listen to this new stream of information that's coming in, where it's so much volume that I almost like that's why I was telling Amber the other day. I was like, hey, I trust her. I was like, flag certain things for me. You know what I mean? Like if I need to know, like let me know because there's not enough time in the day to
No, you cannot. Not by
I
yourself.
work a full-time job. I have a family. I'm doing this podcast. Like, there's just not enough time in the day to consume it. What's cool about AI though is that like YouTube has this new Gemini feature where I'm like, it pops up and I'm like, summarize this video for me, and it summarizes the video for me with time
Perfect.
codes, and I could get through the calls a lot quicker that way. But
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
yeah,
AI is a lifever too, but it could also
yeah,
be very annoying. Um,
yeah.
so did you ever try to reach out to Nicholas Godejean because to get that side of the story, or
The only reason why I would talk to Nicholas Godejean is that I know that he's holding back some secrets. Like I'm fascinated by the fact that it sounds like he really still cares about her in some way, and it almost seems like he's still protecting her. So that would be really interesting to talk to him. But and as part of I did a Nick episode already, episode 3.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it must be episode 3.
it's not
I
out
did
yet
the
then
no, it's not out. It's
publicly.
on Patreon, but it will
Okay,
be in like 2 weeks. So it'll be out. But I did the Nick interview, and I felt like there was enough, or sorry, the Nick episode, and I felt like there was enough out there with other people's interviews and like some of the videos that he sent Gypsy that I felt like I was able to capture his story. Now, if I could score an interview with Nick and earn his trust to tell me something that he hasn't told somebody else, yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
Roger.
And
Okay.
and there is some stuff that even the Gypsyverse or the pro Gypsy side or the anti Gypsy side that has not caught on to that I'm working on.
Well, tell
Yeah.
us. So
So I'm gonna be making some news. No, I'm not ready yet because
no, tell us now.
it's interesting stuff, and I have a feeling that it will make a lot of conversation, and it should come out like towards the end of the series because I need more time to do some reporting, and then B it just makes sense with the flow that I created.
Now, last question, and then and a couple questions, and that's it. I'm going to let you go because it's been too long, and I don't want you to be sitting there all day. Tell me your final assessment on your experience with the anti-Gypsy people, your experience with the pro-Gypsy, and someone as neutral as me. I'm not neutral, but I'm kind of in that I don't care category. I mean, maybe not me, but like those two sides. Do you see differences there, or are there more similarities and differences?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's differences. I definitely think that I don't know. There are differences, obviously. There's differences, but in the type of person, I've been trying to like profile them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I think the anti-Gypsy side is very sympathetic to some things, but not sympathetic to others. Sorry about the dog, which I find very interesting. And I think the anti-Gypsy side wants everything kind of tied up in a bow, very simple. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's differences, but at the end of the day, I think that these are all keyboard warriors that make a lot of noise. I don't think that either side is a reflection of the real world, right? Like I
Right.
think if we did a survey, I would imagine that most people would probably be like, "Oh, this is fucked up, and this is not so fucked up," and could kind of be neutral about it. Like I would imagine that most people are neutral about it.
Craziest email, direct message,
Oh, a
comment that
threat.
you've received.
I got a threat. I
Really?
got my first threat for this series today.
Bree.
Yeah.
That's not Bree.
No, I'm not going to say who it was, but
No,
I
say
thought
who.
that was like,
Was it a
I was like,
creator?
wow.
How about this? Was
Um,
it a creator?
I don't know if this person's a creator.
Male or
not.
female?
If female, but it doesn't
okay.
matter. But like a straight up threat. I put it in my legal folder.
Where did this threat come in? Email or direct?
Multiple places. The same person has email, social media, and that's fine. I mean, look, it's not my first threat. How about that?
Was it Michelle Bolton?
I've had other stories that people have like.
It wasn't Michelle Bolton, was it?
I honestly, look, unless I look it up, I have no idea. Like, I don't care. It just shows me, yeah, people are nuts.
So was it from the anti side then?
Oh, yeah.
Because they didn't like your angle?
I have not met a passionate pro-Gypsy person yet, other than maybe Bree and Gypsy.
Well, that's kind of self-explanatory there, huh?
Yeah.
They're real passionate on that anti-Gypsy side. Maybe in the unhealthy way, would you? Yeah. Detail that? I don't know. Hey, I want to let you go, but you have a wife, you have children, right?
Yep.
And you're from Raleigh, North Carolina. Everybody go check out Pretend Podcast. Again, I talked about you started possibly in a walk-in closet only because of the sound dampering. All right, let's just make that clear.
Yeah. The joke around the house is like, my dad's in the closet. Yeah, it's like, yeah, recording a podcast.
I know plenty in the closet. One guy in particular, he likes frogs. Anyhow, you had the journalist itch at one point, or still do pretty much. But you decided to leave traditional news. But I can't let you go without doing your Kermit the Frog impersonation.
Oh my God, man. Dude, you did some
research. Hold on one
second.
Let me cue you up here. All right. You don't do Elmo, do you?
I've never tried it, and I don't want to try on
Yeah,
a live,
only
but
losers do.
I feel very confident about my Kermit.
Only pussies do Elmo. I want Kermit the Frog. Let's tell us your last thoughts about the Gypsy Rose Obsession, just to all of us here in Kermit the Frog. Here we go.
Kermit the Frog here, reporting live from Pretend. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, what's your take? I don't know.
Oh, it's pretty good.
It's not that great. It's not that great.
I can't even do that. I mean, you're talented. You're multi-talented, I say.
I was not prepared. Listen, I heard a lot of shit about you, man. I was like, don't talk to this morbid guy.
Oh, really?
I honestly have never really like consumed your stuff, but we talked and I thought you were pretty cool. You're the only person that I've spoken to that really has admitted that their views have changed. And I think that that's really cool.
You did talk to Fancy a little bit. I think her views changed a little.
Her views have changed.
A little bit. Yeah.
But you know, I just I like that. I like that when I see that in people. I mean, I don't know anything about you, but this was awesome. You did your research.
You know, my job today was to give you a fair interview. I wasn't here to interject any of my sort of thoughts, or I just wanted to get people to get to know you. I think it's unfair that people have judged you based on whatever they feel is an angle. That's happened a lot. So.
Yeah.
I really wanted them this to be an opportunity for them to actually get to know Javier Leiva.
Thank you, man.
And so
thank you, man.
I think it was awesome and great insight, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You did your homework, man. You're a great interviewer. So.
Oh wow! You know what? I'll join the Pretend Podcast. I'll be one of the broadcasters over there.
I'm looking for help.
All right, thanks, Javier. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
Take it easy.
All right, bye. There goes Javier. There's my studio right there. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I hope you guys had a good time. You got to learn a little bit about Javier from an angle that you probably didn't know. You know, I had to ask all these questions, and he's a great sport, you know. Definitely I could have thrown in some other things I wish I could have had. No. But I'm really happy that he came along and granted this interview for all of us. I think we found out about his history, his professional history, and all sorts of things. So if you missed out, go back and check it out. And we talked about the Gypsy Rose Obsession, so that he's covering. So yeah, really happy. Thank you guys for coming in here. Casey May's in here. C. Williams, Lori 420, Pretty Vulgar with Charlie coming in here. Pats and Pete, Put Pajamas, Milfy coming in here. I want to thank, let's see, who did that one grift earlier? Oh, okay. It was Wicked Queen. The $10 super chat says the anti side is great at bullying people but none of them care about what they claim this was about which was justice for Dee Dee. They're all about the drama and fighting a bunch of bullies is all they are. There it is, Wicked Queen, $10 super chat. OG Dots, of course, member of the channel. We always appreciate Dots over there. Mary Jane Doe, yes. Member for 26 months. Great interview, Morbid. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. All right. That's about it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening here, and I'll see you guys soon. This live stream and this interview is in the refrigerator. Doors closed, lights out, eggs cooling, butter's getting hard, and the jello's jiggling. Of course, Pats and PJ comes in with the Canadian 20. Great interview. Oh yeah, we did it with a boom. Look at Elmo.